Module 4, Documentation and Reporting. This module outlines the basic techniques a construction inspector uses to document the information required by the construction and reclamation contracts with the department. Identifying the construction items used on the project, tracking those items, measuring and documenting the items before, during, and after installation, receiving and checking the daily activity and quantity summaries, and monthly reporting are all common duties of the construction inspector. This module will cover the most common activities and techniques used for inspection documentation. Documentation starts by identifying the construction items associated with the project, the method of measurement for each item, and how to properly document those materials and measurements using pictures, text, and supporting documentation. The basis of payment will indicate when partial payments are acceptable and the parameters required for full and partial payment of items. Construction items can be found in the project specification book, agency purchase order, or on the bid schedule of the construction plans. Typically, the basis of payment for an item is found only in the project specifications book. Construction item specifications will vary between projects depending on the project goals, size limitations, and engineering specifications. The inspector must verify the construction methods, method of measurement, and basis of payment for each construction item prior to any inspection or measurement for each project. The example on screen shows a partial bid schedule at the top and part of the project specifications book. We'll concentrate on the access road stone. From the bid sheet, we can identify the item, number 4.2, and the item name, access road stone, and the method of measurement, ton. But there is no basis of payment. For this, we'll need to reference the project specifications book, which has all the information we'll need, including what's on the bid sheet. The basis of payment details what is required for payment. For this example, access road stone will be paid in full by the ton based on weight tickets from a commercial supplier, and the cost includes delivery, placement, labor, equipment, and incidentals necessary to complete the work. The inspector will need to validate the tonnages by using the commercial weight tickets and document that the stone was used in the planned manner and location on site before payment can be authorized. All construction items must be accompanied by material slips prior to installation for the inspector to review. The inspector will check that a material slip conforms to what is required for the project and that the material matches its material slip. Each material slip must be marked by the contractor with its corresponding construction item number and name from the bid schedule, along with any notes the inspector needs to clarify its use and to expedite payment. Materials that are used to construct an item but are not paid separately from it, incidental to a bid item, must be checked and marked as incidental or non-pay item with a note indicating the bid item number and name where it was used. Along with tracking materials as they are delivered to the site, inspectors are required to track where each item is installed, how much was used at each installation, and any other information pertinent to the construction item. This may be completed in several ways, which include, but are not limited to, Excel spreadsheets, field notebooks, or by marking directly on the project plans. Inspectors must store all field documents in a way that they can easily be shared with the department. There are 9 methods of measurements typically encountered during a standard construction inspection: lump sum, each, linear foot, vertical foot, acre or plan view acre, cubic yard, square foot, and ton. We'll discuss a method of documentation for each of these measurements that can be used regardless of the construction item or basis of payment next. For all other methods of measurement not covered in this module, please contact your West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection construction representative to develop an effective method of documentation for those construction items. Lump sum typically is used with items like construction layout or quality control. Start by checking the project documentation to see what's required to satisfy the terms of the contract and the basis of payment for the construction item. Lump sum construction items may be paid out on a percentage base once certain thresholds have been satisfied. These thresholds may be clearly outlined in the project specifications book, or the inspector may need to develop target thresholds with the contractor. Likewise, the percentage of payment that may be released after completion of certain thresholds may be determined by the project specifications book, or it may be at the discretion of the inspector. The inspector will document all actions, products, material slips, laboratory testing results, and anything else required to meet the construction item thresholds, and provide photo and/or documented verification of each threshold completed to confirm payment. Items paid by each are all or nothing construction items that cannot be percentage-based, such as mine seals or cleanouts. While these items may require multiple steps for completion, they are only paid for after all the requirements are met and the item is properly installed. The inspector must compile and label all material slips, laboratory testing results, and provide photo verification of each step as it's completed on site to approve payment. Linear footage items are typically paid for actual feet measured to the nearest foot on a linear plane. Measurements are taken along the center line or flow line of the construction item after the item has been installed and inspected to verify that the installation matches the project specifications. At least 2 photos of the construction item are required for payment. One photo must be an overview of the construction item with the tape measure placed where the measurement was taken. The second photo should be a close-up of the tape measure at the final measurement location. If these photos are not provided, payment applications will be rejected and returned. All material slips, laboratory testing, or other documentation related to the item are compiled and labeled as described in the documentation module. The item measurements, location, and any other pertinent information are recorded in the daily inspection report. Like linear footage, vertical footage items are typically paid per actual feet measured, but differ because the measurement is to the nearest half foot and is measured on the vertical plane. The inspector will use the project specifications book to help determine the most appropriate location to measure the construction item after it has been installed. 2 photos of the measurements are required, an overview showing the tape measure situated where the measurement was taken, and a close-up of the final measurement. Without these photos, payment applications will be rejected and returned. All material slips, laboratory testing, or other documentation related to the item are compiled and labeled as described in the standard inspection module. Acre, also called Plan View Acre, must be measured by a West Virginia licensed professional surveyor and is typically calculated from an aerial view perspective. These calculations are generated from the surveyed boundaries both before and after construction. The contractor's surveyor of record is responsible for providing a professionally stamped document certifying the amount of acreage identified for payment purposes. Along with making sure all requirements for payment are completed, the inspector estimates acreage amounts supported by photo verification as work is being performed and documents it in the daily inspection reports. The total estimated acreage is used by the inspector to confirm the final surveyed acreage. If you have any question on how to estimate acreage, contact your firm's project manager or the department. Cubic yards are used with volume-based construction items such as concrete, grout, or excavations. Inspectors must estimate the amounts used while work is being performed and document it in the daily inspection report with photo verification. For construction items like concrete and grout, the total cubic yards will be calculated from material slips, but estimates of amounts used in specific locations are also recorded. For construction items like excavation, the calculation is generated from surface elevations before and after construction. During construction, the inspector estimates the cubic yards and records this amount in the daily inspection report. The contractor's surveyor of record is responsible for providing a professional stamped document certifying the amounts of material removed for payment purposes. That is then confirmed by the inspector based on the estimates made during the construction, with photo verification of the work completed to match the estimates in the daily inspection reports. Square foot and square yard are paid per calculated feet or yard. Measurements are taken on a linear plane along the perimeter length and width of an item, and these measurements are multiplied together to get the final measurement. At least 2 photos of the measurements are required for payment of each measurement. One photo must be an overview of the construction item with the tape measure placed where the measurement was taken. The second photo should be a close-up of the tape measure at the final measurement location. Without these photos, payment applications will be rejected and returned. All material slips, laboratory testing, or other documentation related to the item are compiled and labeled by the inspector as described in the standard inspection module. Tons are typically used with stone. and are paid based on certified weigh tickets from a commercial supplier. The inspector will verify the materials match what is required in the project specification book before installation. After installation, the inspector will compile and label all material slips with the item name and number, any laboratory testing results or other documentation, and a record of the exact tonnages and verification photos of the work being completed in the daily inspection reports. The daily activity form and weekly quantity summaries are completed by the contractor and provided to inspectors on a weekly basis. These forms summarize the daily work completed and the quantities installed. The quantities on these forms reflect the totals for each construction item installed in the previous week. All forms are due to the inspector by 12 p.m. on the first workday of each new work week. These reports must accompany the payment application for the corresponding performance period. If these forms are not provided, payment applications will be rejected and returned. The inspector will write a monthly report that summarizes the progression of construction at the end of each month. These reports will provide a general overview of the completed construction, working and inclement weather days, any changes to the design, and all construction items installed. These reports are due by the first Wednesday of the succeeding month. You should now have a basic understanding of how to document and track construction items. Take a moment to compile any questions regarding this material.